When Steel talks, everybody listens.
This is Wednesday Talks, and we are here with Mr. Dike Samai, here being Washington Square Park, within the environs of the NYU campus. First of all, congratulations on your dual graduations.
Oh, thank you very much.
There's been a whole lot happening in your life, and it was well earned, and you waited a long time. You had a hectic schedule, and we are happy that you found time just before you take off back to Trinidad and Tobago to share some of your journey and your lifetime with us.
No problem.
Okay,
Thank
so, tell us about Dike Samai, who you are. We know you hail from South Trinidad and you started Pan at an early age, but, tell us a little bit about yourself generally.
Okay, well, first of all, my name is Dike Samai. So I started to play Pan around 12. I was introduced with Electro Songs, a band from San Fernando. And I was playing with my brother. He stopped playing the year after, but for some reason I just kept playing.
You enjoyed it?
I was amazed by the instrument and being able to get all these different parts sung together and all these songs coming together to make one cohesive sound, like music. I found that to be so interesting, and I started playing Pan at 12 and I have not stopped playing since.
So that's been your journey since
That has
then.
been my, yes. It's just been pan music. I actually went to law. I applied to law, but I did not get in, and I think that was a good thing because I ended up doing music and look where I am now.
I mean, it's your passion.
Yeah, it was.
So what is it specifically you think that really captivated you? I mean, starting from 12 is one thing, but still, now making it your life's passion. What about Pan specifically that brought you from there to where you are right now?
I think it's, when I was doing my undergraduate in UWI, I was introduced, but I went to see Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1, I believe, with my sister. And there was a scene where Dobby dies, the house.
And it was emotional.
It was very emotional. And what really happened was the voices took to the back and the instruments came to the forefront. And I don't know, at that moment, just the sound of all the instruments, and I was like, wow, this is really, because it's the same instruments, an orchestra, the same instruments that can make you feel happy. It can make you feel sad. It can make you feel nervous. It can make you feel like anxious, excited. All those things. And I'm like, this is so cool. I, as the composer, have the power to make you feel what I want you to feel.
Yeah.
And I mean, it might sound a little bit weird, but that's a huge power boost.
It is, because we usually say, look, think of what you're looking at and you're not hearing any music. Then you realize how you're literally being played.
Yes, because
by the accompaniment.
And when I first started to score films, actually, what I did not take into consideration was that, what I didn't think about enough was the fact that when you get the film, there is no music. I mean, it's obvious, but you don't really think about it that much until
you as a film composer, get into it.
Yes, and now you have to look at the video with no music, and you have to look at it over and over again, and after discussions with the director and trying to figure out what the emotional the emotional arc of the scene is. You have to now sit down and look at this thing with no music and look at it over and over until the music comes to your head.
And compose to suit.
Yes.
So you say of yourself that you are a steel pan performer.
Yes.
You are an orchestrator.
Yes.
You are a film composer.
Yes.
And you are an actor.
And an arranger.
Yes. You wear multiple hats.
And a teacher as well.
And an educator. Yes, because you were teaching at St. Benedict's.
Yes.
Right. So tell us about, you wear many hats, but when it comes to Pan, and now you are officially a film composer, orchestrator, is there a parallel? Will they both be front and center in your life? Will you devote more attention to one particular career, meaning Pan, or will it be film scoring and orchestrating?
I honestly see myself not being bogged down to one area, because one of the things that I really want to do as a panist and as an orchestrator, as a film composer, etc., is to use steel pan more in films. And what I have seen as a Trini and someone who knows that the instrument was invented in Trinidad and Tobago and the history of that, for me at least, when I hear Pan in films, a lot of it is mostly to locate the scene. So you might hear Pan and be like, okay, it's supposed to be on a beach in Jamaica or somewhere in the Caribbean. It tends to be generic at times.
Kind of stereotypical.
Yeah. And I know from experience with the instrument how versatile it is. And you don't, it's not just only about making it a geographical statement. You could have emotion, you could have the exact same effect with orchestral instruments as you can with pan. And then when you combine the two now, it's a totally different term or sound that you get when you combine the steel pan with different instruments from the orchestra. A totally different sound that makes the entire score sounds different. And as directors always, well, mostly, they tend to want scores that are particular to their film, so it tends to stand out more. So not just the storyline would make it stand out, but the music with the storyline helps the entire film to stand out even more.
On the topic of themes, for the Mario Kart theme, how was that received in terms of the influence of the pan? And it wasn't that prevalent, but you definitely knew it was there. What did they think about it when they heard it, the artists themselves?
When we recorded it, because it was a live scoring session, it didn't have the pan in it as yet.
Okay.
Because I had to orchestrate it first, and then when they recorded, then I added the pan afterwards. And then when I submitted that, everyone loved it. Everyone said, "Yo, this is so cool! I cannot believe that you're hearing Mario Kart music, and then with pan in it too." That was really cool. And when I was doing it, I was like, I should definitely put some pan in it. While I was writing, it's like, hey, this could actually work. And so said, so done. And I don't know, I'm just really, really proud of that. No one could take that away from me because I know I did that, and it's just a stepping stone. It's just experience, and you're just going to build on that, and I intend to build more on that.
It's interesting because on your demo reel, there is, I believe, pendulum.
Yes.
And the first piece I heard, there was so much pan, I would say, but it was beautiful because it wasn't a Caribbean style theme. It was just, look, this is part of the score. You're looking at a film, but there is pan. It was so well placed.
Oh, thank you very much.
So, I mean, I liked it. I'd like to hear the whole thing. But at the same time, I'm wondering, what has been the reception, for instance, to that?
Well, the director, Michael Rochford, he was apprehensive at first because I told him I intended to use steel pan in the score because that's always something I wanted to do. I always wanted to.
Why do you think there might have been a bit of apprehension?
He said that he was concerned initially about it being too abrasive or too harsh because again, we don't have enough experience with hearing steel pan in films that aren't geographically placed in the scene. So because he hasn't really heard much of that, he was kind of apprehensive. He wasn't sure that it might blend with the film. So I was like, yeah, well, I'll do a first draft and I'll send it to you, and he absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. He's like, yo, you need to make a 3-minute version of this. Yeah. Because it's so good.
Did you?
No, yes, no. I did not. None of it. No. But,
okay. So, in relation to pan, educator, you're a performing artist in your own right, as we said, arranger, administrator. Do you find any of those roles more challenging than the other, or do you just enjoy them all as a complete presentation, whatever you're doing?
I think you could always draw from your experiences from one aspect of your career and transfer to the other. So I was also the captain and musical director for Fusion Steel Ensemble, right? So with that, I was the captain for 8 years and had to deal with
administrative
parts with your peers who are the same age, who you go on your line with, have a bear, and
when you get back into the pan yard, you need a little bit of respect.
There you go, yes. And it's not always easy because many times they see you as just DK, your friend. So when it's time after giving instructions, they need to, have that kind of, okay, DK says this, okay, we need to do that.
The discipline needs to be there.
So, I mean, for the most part, that was there, and I drew from that and, applied it to teaching or applied it to leading roles in recording things, maybe, So I definitely do take experiences from one part and apply it to the other because it does help.
Okay. What is your most memorable moment in pan to date? I mean, I know you've had many moments since 12 years, but is there anything that really stands out?
I guess the first time I reached for Panorama.
Okay.
Yeah, that was...
So like 2013, 2014?
Fusion, that was 2015, I believe. Or or some around there. Because I did a junior panorama with St. Bennet a couple of times.
And that was
Sandhurst.
2013 and 2014
Yes.
NGC, right?
Yes,
Okay.
right. And but the panorama, the senior panorama, was the first time I ever actually went into the foray, and we went in small band with Fusion Steel, and we came first in South Central. The
Okay.
first time. We didn't make it to the finals, but that in itself
That was memorable for you.
Definitely a memorable because it's the first time. And to be able to do so well, even in the beginning, for your first time, it's always a boost to your.
I would think so.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, I can actually do this. You could just build up on it
Yeah,
next year and just
yeah.
build up on your experience. So that's what I
Okay.
did.
And on the other side, what has been your least memorable time when you would like, you know what, it's an experience, so let's move on?
With film scoring, I think the one of the most or the parts that are most frightening is when you have to do scoring sessions and you have to do the orchestration and you have to do the individual parts. You always want to make sure that when you are doing the recording that there are the least amount of hiccups as possible.
Okay.
So you have to score everything so when they read it straight through the first time. So you save as much time as possible because you always want as many passes with recording so you can pick and choose to mix
Right.
and stuff. So if you don't score it properly, you waste a lot of time. And I did waste some time in my first couple of scoring sessions. But again, that's a learning experience. But those are things I definitely will not forget because when it happened, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. I can't make this happen again. So you learn from those mistakes.
It's a learning
and,
experience,
yeah.
and you just become even better and better.
Yeah, you just remember, okay, I
Yeah.
can't make that mistake again.
Yeah.
So it's just a
Okay.
steps. Yeah.
With regard to PAN overall, meaning the development of PAN, in your opinion, what do you think might be a hindrance that slows down the development?
You really want to get into that?
Yes, this is what it's about. You are in an international stage, so you know it's kind of like you're out there, your experiences matter, your voice matters, and you are in that space now where you will continue to have an impact. So yes, in your opinion, you've had a lot of experience now, world experience to this point. You've been different places, you've been within different environments, scenarios, and you can think now of PAN in a global context.
Yes.
So with that in mind, in your opinion, what do you think hinders PAN, slows down the development of PAN even more on the global stage?
I think it would really come down to appreciation from our home country.
Okay.
Because in my experiences up here, everyone loves pan. Everyone, when they first discover, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is such a very interesting instrument. The song is so unique. It's so cool. I love
There's
this
an
instrument.
appreciation, there's a respect.
Yes, and they want to learn more about it. Back home, because it was invented, some people tend to take it for granted at times, and that is never good for the instrument. So I think if we could just, as a country, appreciate the instrument more and be able to push the instrument more on a global stage, because most people abroad loves pan. But it's just the development back home to really push it at the level that we need to push it
So a
globally.
bit of some respect.
Yeah. I mean, we do. No, don't get me wrong. Many of us respect pan, but I mean, I think people who play pan back in Trinidad really knows from personal experience that there are instances where pan is not respected as much as it should be, and I think those things really do hinder the development of pan, not just nationally, but being able to develop it more internationally, because they have to develop it properly home to ship that out.
Yeah.
So if that's not done home, then foreigners will just take it and run with it.
Okay. Which has been happening. Yeah, right? So what is your opinion as someone who's been in the administrative aspect and the performing aspect? What do you think should be done or should start being focused on more to enhance that development, that export, that appreciation?
I think it starts from young. Because I'm saying that because I teach band, like 12-year-olds and stuff. And okay, so I have a past student named Kevan Kalist. He's Black Stallions grandson, right? So he was into calypso all up when he was in Form 1 and Form 2. He got introduced to pan through me in school, and he didn't like it that first because he was on double ton. He didn't really like it. Junior Panama came and put him on a bass, a 6 bass, and that was it.
No
that was
back.
it. He's now a pan arranger. He performing. It's so for me, it's being able to convert non-panists
Yeah.
to people who at least have an appreciation or who now be like, wait now, this instrument is so cool, because and they don't know it because they never got that experience to play it. So now that we have pan in schools back in Trinidad, not all schools, but many
Yeah.
schools, you have that development from young that tends to produce new arrangers, new performers, etc. So that aspect is good, but I think there's a lot of further development on that particular aspect that we could,
Okay.
do more on.
You mentioned the double tenor. Your preference apparently is, you can say, double seconds and the cellos.
I used to. I mean, I still love seconds, but since
What
I went
about-
on, I don't know. It's double seconds is a very versatile instrument.
Yeah, okay.
Because you can play front line, you could play melody, you could play the harmony for the melody, you could do strumming chords, like if you're in a chord break or just accompany the front line, you could do that, and you could also double up the octave, a cello solo, to give it more clarity.
Okay.
So it's a very versatile instrument. So when you play in seconds of panorama, you tend to not stop playing, you just play it all the time. So when you're playing melody and the background stops or whatever, you still have to play. When the front line stops and there's a cello solo, you still have to play. When there's a
Yeah.
chord break and everybody else is back, you still have to play. So you never
And you
stop
really
playing.
love that
And
part
I
of it.
love it because it's always, you always have something to do, and I really enjoy it. So that's what I really like about that.
Okay. So, you spoke just now about arranging for your peers and also doing that when you're hanging with them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you get to the pan yard, you put on a different hat, no
Yes.
pun intended, and it's now, listen, we have to buckle down.
Yeah.
Have you experienced any more, or should I say, push it back to the sense when it becomes, we really have to buckle down, or we really have to look at this differently, or, what is that transition like for you, especially given, your rather youthful age?
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you very much. I think it all comes down to explain to them what the end goal is.
Okay.
So if the end goal is we need to perform at this event on this date, then we need to go sounding properly rehearsed. We can't go sounding properly rehearsed if people aren't rehearsing properly, or you don't know your parts, or that kind of thing. So it's always bringing it back down to the end goal. This is why we are here. We are not here to line. We're not here to play the fool. We are here to learn music because we have a performance for this particular time. So it's just reminding them of why we are here and just trying to bring everybody back to a focused sense of mind. Yeah, I think that's the most challenging part, but it also helps the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
You spent your time here at NYU, you've graduated. Talk a bit about, your journey while you were here, and of course, the end result, your degree, your master's.
Well, before I even applied to do this, I had to figure out a way to fund it because it's very expensive. So I applied to Fulbright for a scholarship to be able to come up here and do it, which I was successful in. So I was able to get that scholarship, and I was able to come up here, applied, got through. So the degree is a Master of Music in Music Composition, Screen Scoring, which is basically composition for visual media, television shows, video games, films, that kind of thing. Honestly, the work was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed the classes because it's nice to be able to sit down in a class and learn about what you want to learn.
Your passion.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
very, very...
So it's not drudgery. It's like, I want to be here.
Yes,
I
all
want
the
to
classes
do this.
are like, okay, this is interesting. And
Yeah.
things that people mightn't find interesting, like, how to double clarinets and oboes, how to double cellos and clarinets.
That fascinated
it
you.
fascinates
And
me.
you want to be there because that's all part of scoring.
Exactly. It's all
Yeah.
just trying to get the best sound of the orchestra and being the best orchestra that you can be. It was, the experience was invaluable. Okay, we gotta fix this. My hat. I don't know why they keep giving me this small hat for it. I have a big head.
Take your time, darling. Take your time. So, in 2010, you came up here with the UE Steel Ensemble and the UE Chorale with
Yes.
Jessel Murray. Talk about that experience, how it was, and, what part it might have played in where you are today. And we were fortunate to have covered you at St. Francis College, so
Right,
we saw
yes.
that part of you at that
Yeah.
point, and so 12 years later is pretty interesting. Talk about your experience then overall at the University of the West Indies, Steel Ensemble and the Chorale.
All right. Well, I was there I did my certificate in Pan, so I did that for 2 years, and then I did my degree for 3 years. We did come up in 2010 to New York for that concert. It was my second tour because the first tour we went to Hadley, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And then 2 years later, became here. So that Massachusetts trip was my first flight. That's
Yeah.
the first time I was on a plane.
On a plane.
I was 20 years old. First time I was on a plane. So that was pretty cool. And then New York, that was a whole different ball game because of the culture here. It's totally different. And it was very cold. It was very cold. I was not used to the cold. In fact, when we left at 2 in the morning and it was 2 degrees Celsius. And I did not pack properly, so I had on a long sleeve shirt, a t-shirt, a vest, a jeans, and a short pants, and I was still freezing.
Short pants will do it.
Yeah, I'm freezing. So I was like, yo, I can't make that mistake again. So yeah, that's definitely one thing it taught me. But just the culture up here, it's really, really, really nice, and I feel like you could do anything you want up here.
Yeah.
You know, like, and the world is totally yours up here.
So, in keeping with that, what do you think you, with your unique background, your talent, your appreciation for both pan and all conventional instruments, and now we're talking film scoring,
Right.
orchestrating, what do you think you are going to bring to the wider world when it comes to orchestrating and the film scoring and composing?
Well, that's a very good question because I initially wanted to maybe teach film scoring at university level back in Trinidad because I honestly I do have that want that desire to go back to Trinidad and really develop the culture back home because there's so much that we could do. There's so much talent in Trinidad and Tobago. It's frustrating whenever I hear people talking about how much they want to do this, they want to do that, and there's no recourse for them to do it. There's no way for them to do it, and it's so frustrating.
So you'd like to educate at some point in what you have learned?
Yes, because since I've been involved in this degree, I've had people come up to me and ask me, hey, how did you get into this? Or how do I get involved in, maybe beginning to write music for different types of media? And just having that someone coming to ask you that and being an inspiration to others, it drives me more to go back to Trinidad and just develop our culture and that industry there because we have an orchestra, we have a film industry. There's no reason why we can't combine the two because that's done all the time up here. In LA, all the scoring is done mostly by orchestras, and you have your orchestrator and your film score and all those things. Why can't we do it in Trinidad? We have it there. We just need to get the two different aspects, the music aspect and the film aspect, and just combine them. And there's no reason why we can't do that.
Talk about Tobago, which is coming out June 1st.
Right. So that was a short film by a Canadian Trinidadian director called Lauren Marsden. She actually wanted me to... So the music that was required for this film wasn't orchestral stuff. It was actually more soca tracks.
Yeah, so you have rhythm sections and
right.
everything, right?
And that is not my number one skill, I must say. So it was definitely a challenge to produce that because, I mean, and this is something that I have recognized recently. People will see me. They will see me with this and they'll automatically assume I know how to make beats. Happens all the time. All of the time. It's like, hey, do you make dancehall beats? Do you make soca beats? Do you make this? I'm like, not really. I mean, I'm more of a composer, orchestrator. It's like, oh, okay, all right, no bother, But this one, I really did put my I really did try as much as possible to get the different layers down, learning how to make beats, and it came out really good. She loved it. She loved it.
And I guess we are going to be having a whole lot more of that.
And also, I have a film coming up called Black Sky. That's also directed by Michael Rochford, who did Pendulum. But this time, I have a couple scenes to act in the film. And then after that's done, I'm going to score the film.
Excellent.
Right, with the National Philharmonic Orchestra. Yeah, so it's the first time that we're going to be doing this. We got permission to use the orchestra just a couple days ago. So everything is greenlit. So by the time I go back home, maybe in about July or August, so we'll be recording with the National Philharmonic. The first time we're ever going to do like live orchestra music with a local film. So I'm really excited about that.
So this is your immediate project when you return?
Yes.
So where do you see yourself, like, say, maybe 5 years from now?
Honestly, I have thought about it many times, and I came to the conclusion that wherever I end up,
you're happy.
I end up because
and you
I'm
will
just
be pleased with your product.
Yes.
I
I honestly I'm not going to put limits on myself. I'm
Okay.
not going to say, well, okay, in 10 years I have to be like this, because life so far has been so fluid. You honestly don't know where you're going to be in 10 years ago. I never thought I'd been here, sitting talking to you all film scoring at my master's at NYU. I never thought about that. So I have no idea what's going to happen in 5 years.
With COVID-19, your experiences here were unique.
Yes, definitely.
Because you came up for an education
Yes.
at NYU, but you ended up, of course, having to do some of your classes online.
Yes.
And that was an interesting
Yes.
conversion in itself.
Yes.
Then you had graduation delayed to a certain extent. This is a well-rounded, I should say, 2 to 3 years in the last time. So, I mean, given the online experience, how do you think that's going to impact just life in general right now, where you're concerned?
One of the good things that came out of the pandemic actually was easier access to orchestras abroad. So what happened in this particular case with our pandemic, we usually would have done the live recording sessions with NYU students or New York musicians here in New York. But because of the pandemic, that could not have been done. So we had to source orchestras from abroad, which ended up being cheaper because of the fact that people were out of work and they would just take whatever they could get. So in fact, we actually got a better orchestra to play our music than if we had done it with local people here.
Wow.
So that was with that in mind. It has also shown me that you don't have to be in New York to compose for a New York.
Access excellent talent,
You could do it from
resources,
anywhere.
any part of the world.
Yes, because say Laura Marsden, she found me on Instagram. She's in Canada, I'm in Trinidad. She sent me the film. I was in Trinidad. I scored the entire film in Trinidad, and I sent it back to her.
Yeah.
So it has shown me that you don't need to be in the
situated
space.
exactly where
It helps to make the networking, but it doesn't.
But you don't have to be there all the time.
Exactly.
To even make things happen to begin.
And that makes it a little bit easier. Because it gives you more of a breathing room to really be able to do what you need to do in a comfortable environment. Yes, because when being a creative person, your emotions affect what you do a lot.
Yeah.
So you need to have your emotions in check when you're doing work.
More easily accessible.
Yes, yes, definitely. Because if you're not in the right frame of mind, you will never do good music. So you really have to figure out the best way to get. If you're in a funk, how best do you get out of that? So you can really focus on the scene and try to figure out, okay, what is it that the director wants from this scene? How can I create that emotion with the instruments that I'm asked to use? You know, so.
Based on your unique experience here, and I have to keep harping on that because COVID-19 just threw a spanner into everything that was just the norm.
Yes.
When you think, while you're living here, while you're studying here, you can just go out and experience the musical, cultural landscape. Were you able to do that at all in terms of, visit areas like in the village, jazz or, R&B, anything? Were you able to experience anything and say, well, this has been part of my building block, my experience while I'm here? Or was it more like, what, COVID was just a bit of an issue and I didn't really get to go where I wanted? And
well, I initially brought my pan up when I came up.
Which one?
The tenor.
Oh, the easy one.
Yeah, easy one, to carry. Yeah. Because that was one thing that that Fulbright asked me in terms of what I would do to share my culture with America.
Right.
So I said, well, I'm definitely bringing my pan. I want to incorporate steel pan in film scores, which is something that's not done much. So that's an opportunity to share my culture with
And you
Americans.
also played with NYU Steel and Sound, Jennifer?
Nah, I didn't get a chance.
You didn't get a chance?
No, I didn't get a chance. No.
How could you
I'm telling you,
that?
after the first semester, the first semester was just me trying to, one, not fail my classes.
3.96 is not bad, babe.
I mean, yeah, but at first I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And also I was still trying to get accustomed to living up here.
Yeah.
Because living up here and living in Trinidad is two totally different ththings. I was living in a 4-bedroom apartment with a shared living space, and my room was smaller than a jail cell, and I'm being really serious. It was small, so it was a lot of stress just getting
trying
myself
to get yourself situated.
Yeah. So I told myself in the second semester, while I'm a bit more comfortable, I'd go out and explore a little bit more. And then March hit.
And then COVID-19 lockdown.
Yeah. So everywhere was closed. You couldn't go and perform anywhere. You couldn't go and listen to stuff because everywhere was closed. So I didn't really get a chance to experience that part of it, which I wanted to do, but I just didn't get a
there's
chance.
still time now that you've gotten the degree part of it.
Yes, I could always come up.
You can come up and take it in. Well, you know what? It has been really, really good having this opportunity long overdue
Yes.
to sit down, talk with you, share in your passion, understand a little bit more of your journey and also your dreams.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for making time.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
You know, it's been really good to have you chatting with When Steel Talks, and we will be keeping tabs. We're looking forward to so much more from you because what there's been so far has been really good.
Oh, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. I'm thankful that I was able to finish everything and still remain sane at the end of it. So now
Music will do that to you, babe.
music will do that. But it's from now it's just pushing on and representing Trinidad and Tobago to the best of my ability.
I hear that.
And I always say I love my country. I could be in Jamaica, I could be in Russia, I could be in Australia, I could be anywhere. I am a Trini to the bone. I don't care who don't like that. I love my country and I will represent my country. Yeah, of course, I represent my country to the best of my ability. I love Trinidad and Tobago. It's such a love, the culture, the food, the geography of the place. It's home to me.
Yeah.
I love it, and
there's no place like home.
and I will always represent Trinidad and Tobago to the best of my ability anytime I'm out of the country.
That's excellent.
I love Trinidad.
I mean, I could just only imagine with your enthusiasm now, with your knowledge and your skill set, you sharing, especially when it comes to film scoring and orchestrating. So there'll be a whole lot more people saying, hey, Dike did this, and we can too. And even we can't travel maybe at the moment to America or to Europe or wherever, he's got it, and he's going to be there for us and with us, and that's really cool.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. It's nice to have people see what you do. I'm like, hey, wait, if that's actually possible. That might be something I want to do. And people might come and reach out to me. I'm like, hey, how did you go about doing that? And I explain to them, well, okay, well, this is what you do. This is how I did it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So now there's more of a slightly more interest in being able to write for visual media, and that is so, because we have so much different types of media, and not enough people to write music for it.
Well, we know you're going to be taking care of that.
I'm going to try.
Thank you, Dike.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's been really great.
Thank you very much.